Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Esquire Coaching Radio, where we help attorneys achieve unparalleled personal and professional success. And now here's your host, Ann Jenrette Thomas.
Welcome everyone to the Esquire Coaching Radio Show. It's such a pleasure to be here with all of you tonight. As you know, Esquire Coaching is a national coaching and consulting firm that is dedicated to helping lawyers achieve extraordinary whole life success. And to that end, we discuss the full range of topics from building business to getting a job to work-life balance and everything in between. Today we have a very special guest who's going to talk to us about skyrocketing your reputation by writing your own book easily. Today we have Judy Weintraub, accomplished entrepreneur, business executive, and attorney, and she's the best-selling author of The Essentials of Negotiating Effectively. And she's also the author of How to Build Successful Business Partnerships. Judy is the founder of Skill Bites, which provides book writing and publishing services for entrepreneurs and professionals, including lawyers, to get their books done quickly. In addition to Skill Bites, Judy runs Weintraub Legal Services, providing corporate law services to small businesses and dispute resolution services. Judy is an awardee of the Make Mine a $1 Million Business Program, a national program that selects exceptional women business owners and provides resources and support to help them achieve annual revenues of over $1 billion. Welcome, Judy.
Thanks so much, Ann. I'm delighted to be here.
I'm so glad to have you here. And I think this is such an important topic because, you know, at Esquire, one of the things that we are constantly emphasizing is the importance of building your personal brand and allowing that to help leverage your ability to attract clients and really build business. So tell us a little bit about Skill Bites and what caused you to start this particular venture.
Sure. Well, Skill Bites has two main components. The first one is an easy, friendly publishing platform that was built specifically to help lawyers and other professionals and entrepreneurs to get a book written and published quickly. And then the other component is it's a resource center for people to find quick, practical, and affordable life and business skills training. I started Skill Bites a couple of years ago when I was trying to think of what I could do with all of the great material that I had developed over the course of my legal career. I had written a number of articles, I'd given a number of presentations and webinars, and I just felt like it was collecting dust, and this was stuff I had spent a lot of time preparing. Thought, well, I could write a book, but I didn't have the time to write a book, and I didn't have the interest in writing a long book, and nor did I think that my clientele were likely to want to read a long book. But so I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, maybe I could write a series of short books because people are really interested in the 30 to 60-minute lunch and learns and presentations, so maybe they'd be interested in a real short book that they could read real quickly. I looked around for a platform that would enable me to do that, and I didn't see anything that I liked. So I figured it couldn't be too hard to put one together. I created my first book. I sent it around to a number of people, and everybody raved about it. They said, wow, this is absolutely perfect. I can get the information I need quickly, and I can get going with it. And by the way, can I use this format? I'd like to do the same thing. So I figured, well, maybe there's a market out there for it, and I started developing this into a business.
Wow. So talk to us a little bit about, you know, I know my particular take on why a book can be essential for building business, but tell us about your opinion about what can a book do for business development for a lawyer.
Sure. Well, all lawyers need to build our practices, right? So if you want to get known as the credible expert out there, the best way to do that is to publish a book. as soon as you've got your name on a book and you can claim that you're a published author, you just get immediate perception as a thought leader and an expert in that area. That's going to get you more clients in the long run. So it's a great practice building tool. It gets you greater visibility. Everybody who's searching the internet on your particular topic can have access to your book. It opens up opportunities for things like speaking engagements and radio interviews and newspaper interviews, which gets you even more visibility. Gives you an opportunity to reach out to your network and say, hey, look, I'm going to be publishing a book before you've actually even written it, and then sending out an announcement that your book is now out there and it's ready for purchase. So every time you connect with your network, it increases the likelihood that you're going to find somebody who needs your services and is going to come to you and say, oh, I'm so glad you reached out to me. I have this issue. And that happens more often than I would imagine, that you call somebody up and you mention something and they say, oh, I'm so glad you called. I need you. And if you hadn't called, they wouldn't have contacted you. So it's a great way to get credibility, visibility, and opportunities.
I completely agree with you. And I love what you're saying, too, especially about the idea of a small book. You know, something, let's face it, everybody is busy today. And so having something that is easily digestible and practical for the reader it will help you stand out so much in this arena, I think.
And you can also target your book on exactly the issue that you're looking for people to come to you for service. So you can get a very narrow topic, and you can then have a series of books.
Oh, it's so true. We're already seeing this type of traction from our book, The Happy Law Practice. And it's exactly what you're talking about. Make it practical, easily digestible, and just something that will make a difference. Now, one of the things, and I'm sure you hear this a lot, is, you know, as lawyers, we are constantly trying to make our billable hours or just get our work done and still trying to find room to do our typical networking and other business development activities. Now, what do you say about, you know, how to take the time out to write a book?
That is one of the biggest issues that we get is I don't have the time to write a book. Well, if you're writing a short book, for one, that means that it's not going to take as much time as writing a longer book. And for another, we have a process that we share with people that will enable you to get through the writing process a lot easier. And in fact, I would be happy to offer the ebook that we've written on writing a book easily to your audience.
Oh my goodness, that'd be great.
Yeah, and in this it lays out a nice roadmap for you to follow that makes it a lot easier, because one of the other objections we get is, I don't know how to write a book. Well, if you have the roadmap, you will now know how, and it'll be easier for you to do it. Within that roadmap, one of the steps is developing a game plan for how you're going to write your book. When are you going to write during the day? How long you're going to spend? What are you going to give up so that you make the time? What are you going to delegate to other people? Who's going to hold you accountable? So we go through the steps so that it makes it easier for you to know that you're going to be able to have the time and continue writing, because it's a waste of your effort to start writing and then give it up because other priorities come into play, and you've now spent 20, 30 hours on something and don't have anything to show for it.
Absolutely. Now, would you mind letting our listeners know now where they might be able to get this book? And I'll ask you to repeat it at the end as well.
Sure. We have set up a landing page for that, and it's skillbytes.net, skillbites.net writeabookeasily, all one word, WRITEABOOKEASILY.
Perfect. Okay, wonderful. So, listeners, please just go to this website. If you are able to get this process and have any doubts about whether or not you can write a book and whether you have time to write a book, it sounds like Judy has made that process easy for you by laying this step-by-step system out for you. So thank you, Judy, for that very, very generous offer.
Oh, you're most welcome.
So now one of the other challenges that I hear is, that even if they want to write a book, they don't necessarily know what to write about. It's almost like I feel like there's two buckets of people that I hear from. One that's like, I have a million ideas and I don't know where to get started. And then the other that's like, I have no idea what to write about. How can our listeners identify what their real topic is?
It's a great question because finding the right topic is a key ingredient to writing a successful book. It starts with knowing what your primary objective is in writing the book and determining who your target market is that you want for reading the book. What aspect of your business is it that you want to grow, assuming that you're using the book to grow your practice as opposed to trying to make $1 million, because frankly, it's incredibly difficult to make a lot of money with a book these days from the sale of the book. A lot of the books are used to generate revenue through people reading the book and then purchasing the author's services, which is the model that we use. So when you look at your objective, you look at your target market, you understand what area of your business you want to grow, that will help you narrow down the possible topics. And then for those that you develop that are aligned with what you've come up with on those three issues, you can do some searches online to find out which ones are of need, which ones are getting a lot of people searching on that particular topic. For instance, you can do Google keyword searches. You can go on Amazon and find out which books are selling more than other books on the topics that you're looking for. And there's a variety of ways you can find out which are more likely to have people interested in that topic. You can ask people on social media as well, on your LinkedIn page, your Facebook page, or whatever. Ask the question, if I were to write a book on these three topics, which one do you think you'd be more interested in? You can get some great feedback that way.
Oh, I love that. And, I also, if I could just throw in another suggestion, if you already have a list, and this is akin to what you're saying with social media, if you already have a newsletter list or something like that, sending out a simple survey could also be a great way to start engagement with your tribe. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, and the more engagement you build, the more likely it is that your audience will want your book when it's done.
Absolutely. Now, one of the things that I often hear people say is that it's that first page. The first page of writing the new book is the hardest to write. How can people get themselves started with the process of writing?
Well, first of all, let me say that it's not critical that you write your book. You can actually speak your book. A lot of people are now recording what they want to say in the book, having it transcribed, and then working from that as a draft. Other people are outlining their book first and find that it's much easier to draft their book once they have a pretty good outline, and then they can just fill in the items on the outline, and when everything is filled in, then it's a matter of going through and putting in the transitions. And you don't even need to follow the outline in order. If you decide that one day you want to work on topic number 5 and you haven't yet gotten through 1, 2, 3, or 4, then start with number 5 and get what you've got done what you want to say on that one, and then go back and do some of the others. It's not critical that you go in order. So you can outline your book, you can speak your book, or some people just want to do a brain dump, get all their ideas down, and then it's a matter of collating those ideas and putting in the transitions between them. So there's a variety of ways to get started, but those ways will get you over the hump of staring at a blank page.
Those are all great ideas. Which of the suggestions that you just made do you tend to use?
Personally, I like to outline. I find that it's really, it's a logical process for me. I get my ideas down into the outline, and then the outline is able to trigger other thoughts for me as to what I want to say. It's also helpful, once I have the outline done, to go back into the material that I've already developed and identify in the outline what I want to bring in, what articles or blog posts or training materials or whatever deal with that topic. And then when I am on that area of the outline, I've already got stuff developed that I can repurpose into my book.
Wow, you just make it so easy, and that's what I love. And, you know, we all are trying to just grow our businesses, grow our practices, and if you can repurpose something, meaning reuse what you've already created in a new light, new context, then that just makes our lives easier. So excellent tip. And actually, I love the idea of outlining. I think as lawyers, you know, we've been ingrained with outlines from law school, from studying for our exams and for the bar, and, you know, a lot of people use it when they're drafting legal memos and briefs. So I think it's something that if you just leverage that same skill set into writing a book that will be useful for building your career.
Right. Now, the one thing that I would strongly recommend when you're writing is to get the whole thing written and then go back and do the editing. Because if you stop to edit as you go along, it'll take significantly longer. Your lawyers always want to have things polished. So you write the first chapter, and then you go back and you polish it, and then you polish it again, and then you polish it again, and you never get to the second chapter. So write the whole thing. Try to restrain yourself from reviewing what you've already gotten written.
Absolutely. And another quick tip is I even recommend using a timer. And something, at least for me, when I use a timer, it just forces me to be really well-focused, laser sharp in being able to write during that time. So, and then that prevents the in-between editing, like, oh, I could have made that sentence better, but, you know. So let me actually just take a moment to remind our listeners, do you want to ask Judy a question? Please call in now at 347-838-8719. and press 1 to get in the line. That's 347-838-8719, and press 1 to get in the line. All right, Judy, so let's, while we're waiting for callers to listen, you know, to pop up, let me just keep asking you a few questions. Now, what are some of the tips that successful authors recommend for people to keep on writing? You know, when sometimes there's that initial motivation, you're excited, and then there's a little bit of a lull thereafter. So what do you say to inspire people to continue writing?
Right. Well, I mentioned earlier about having a game plan, making sure that you know that you've got a designated time, whether it's every day or a couple times a week or whatever, that is set aside for your writing. Because if you haven't scheduled it like a meeting, just as if you were scheduling a meeting, you're probably not going to get to it. You can't just leave it to a time of the day in case nothing else is there, because that just never happens. So developing that game plan is pretty important. Having somebody to hold you accountable whether it's another colleague or a family member or your business coach or somebody who you've told them this is your timeline. You want to have your book done by this time, and within there's milestones on your completion of chapters, and they'll check in with you weekly or biweekly to make sure that you're staying on track. And then you've got to maintain your vision of the objective of the book, that you are using this to grow your practice. And keep that in mind when other things come up that could get you away from writing your book. You need to keep foremost your objective.
Absolutely. Now, you've talked a lot about really having this game plan in place, but talk to us a little bit about, once the book is written, what are the steps to really getting that book finished?
Yeah, believe it or not, there's a lot of steps. You spend all this time writing the book, and then you've got all this other stuff to do once it's done. It's kind of like having a child. The 9 months of the pregnancy is just a small tip of the iceberg part of it. You got to find an editor, because you're using this book to help elevate your credibility. And if you've got typos and ambiguities and grammatical errors and things like that, those are going to detract from your credibility, which would really be a shame. So you got to find an editor. You need to get testimonials and reviews, because most people these days are going to read those testimonials to determine if they want to buy your book. That's going to take some time. You want to get members of your target market to read your book so that they write a review or a testimonial saying how helpful it was. You want to get some colleagues in your profession, whatever your business practice or legal practice is, who are going to write about how terrific your material is. And if you can get somebody who's well known, that's really powerful. However, it takes a lot longer. And then, of course, there's coming up with a great title and an attractive book cover, because even though we say that you're not supposed to judge the book by its cover, that's exactly what everybody does. So if you don't have an attractive book cover, your book is not likely to be purchased. And there's the front cover, and there's also the back cover, and you have to decide what you're going to put on the back cover. You're going to have your author bio, or you're going to have the testimonials, or you're going to have the benefits of reading the book. So there's lots of choices there. And then, of course, there's marketing the book as well, promoting it so that people know about it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's all critical. Writing the book is an important hurdle, but it's just one step in a multi-step process, as you've outlined. Now, before, when you and I were talking in preparation for this interview, you had mentioned how there was one challenge with one of your clients about a title having been trademarked. Do you want to just briefly share about some things people should be aware of when selecting a title?
Sure. This client had her book completed. She had her cover already designed, and she wanted me to get her ISBN numbers and get her book on Amazon and in print. So I did a quick search of her title just to make sure that there wasn't going to be anybody else with a book out there with the same title. And sure enough, I found somebody with the exact same title, and it was registered. So this person had trademarked the title, and he was using the title in his business. He had workshops with that title as well. And he had done this back in 1998. So it would have been a real problem had she gone ahead and had these books printed and then found out that she was going to have to retract them all.
Oh my goodness, that you really saved her, And actually, that brings me to another question. I know that your company helps, future authors on being able to get their books written. So can you talk to us a little bit about what services you offer to help them with that process?
Oh, sure. We have an array of services, everything from ghostwriting your book to helping you outline your book, helping you develop a strategic plan so that you can leverage your book. Even during the time period that you're writing it, you can start to leverage your book. To editing services, cover design, getting your book on Amazon, getting it in print, and getting PR and marketing services for you. So whatever you're looking for.
Gamut.
That's right. We try to make it as easy as possible. If you want to write the book yourself, but you don't want to have to deal with editing and the cover, etc., we can handle that part. If you know you want a book and you've got lots of material, but you don't want to take the time to take that material and put it into a book, we can do that for you.
And it's so helpful, because one of the challenges, and it's one of the reasons why I designed Esquire Coaching the way that I did, was it's so awful to not know what you don't know until it's too late. And I think when you have a service like what you offer that is comprehensive, you have an expert that knows not just about the writing, but the entire process of being able to go from the first word all the way to the market, that you don't have to try and figure out, scratching your head, oh gosh, what did I do wrong? Why isn't this working? You have experts like Judy and Skill Bites to be able to help. So I love that you offer such a comprehensive service.
And unfortunately, there are a lot of things that seem simple, and when you get into them, they're not as simple. Like Amazon. Amazon is free. You can upload your book to Amazon for free. But I tried that. I used Amazon's free platform for my first book, and when I got back was garbage. The words went down the end of the page. Some of the words were in a different font. It was a mess. They have an automated conversion process that takes your document and puts it into their format. Their automated conversion process didn't work for me. So we actually manually convert our documents into their format so that we avoid those problems.
See, that's an example. Who would know that except for someone who is experienced in this field and can help? And
I'm not saying that it happens every time, but it happens. If you look online, you'll see a lot of people who've had problems with Amazon system.
Absolutely. Wow. So, these are the things that can really save our listeners who are interested in building their brand, building their client base through a book. So you could save them a lot of trouble and headache. So how can our listeners connect with you and find out more about your services?
Right. Well, as I mentioned, my website is skillbites.net, skillbites.net. I can be reached via email, which is judy@skillbites.net, or my phone number is 855-SKILLBITES.
Perfect. 855-SKILLBITES. And what's the area code for that?
Oh, the area code is 855.
Area code.
Right.
Great,
so
great.
It's toll free.
All right.
Or local number is 610 783-4519. But 855 Skill Bites is a little bit easier to remember.
It really is. That's perfect. Well, Judy, you have been a wealth of information. And, again, thank you so much for your generous offer of providing that ebook with the process to our listeners.
Oh, you're most welcome. And just to remind them, it can be found at skillbites.net/writeabookEasily.
Excellent. I highly recommend it. Just go check it out, especially if you're thinking about writing a book and catapulting your career. And let's keep this dialogue going, folks. Join us on Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn. Tell us about what your thoughts are on using a book to build your brand and build business. Next week, we have Reverend Katema Mason, who's going to talk to us about cultivating inner peace and really trying to get some of that work-life balance in our lives. Until then, be well. Thanks so much, Judy.
Oh, thank you so much, Anne.